Welcome, everyone. Happy Thursday. This, of course, is Talent Experience Live, covering everything that you need to know in talent acquisition, recruiting, HR, talent marketplace, talent management, everything in between. We like to say here, the Talent Experience Live is the greatest show on the internet. So sorry to all of your favorite podcasts. This 100% is better. It's entertaining, it is educational, and everything in between. I am your host, Devin Foster, and Talent Experience Live, of course, is brought to you proudly by the good folks over at Phenom, whose purpose is, of course, if you've seen anything Phenom related, to help 1 billion people find the right job. If you've seen it out on the web, that is not a typo. They didn't accidentally mean to write 1 million and wrote 1 billion instead. No, it's a tall task, and they are working hard every single day to make it come to fruition. This, of course, is done through their talent experience, intelligent talent experience platform that helps candidates find the right fit faster, employees evolve in their current roles and beyond, recruiters achieve some next level productivity and efficiency. We are going to talk about that today, as well as managers building better teams with data and analytics, as well as automation. Automation, of course, a very popular buzzword in the industry today, is powered by super slick artificial intelligence and machine learning. So if you're interested in learning about an intelligent talent experience platform, you can always head over to phenom.com to learn more if you're interested. There are great blogs, including a blog recap of every TXL episode that we do, as well as areas where you can learn a little bit more about Phenom by just clicking that request a demo button, or you can just sign up for our newsletters. Whatever you are open to. Now that the bills have been paid, we can really get into the meat and potatoes of today's Talent Experience Live episode. Today, we are continuing the conversation on recruitment marketing, and we are discussing how ChenMed has reduced their time to hire, increased applications and external applies, reducing time to fill and leveling out employee turnover. So we are going to dive very deeply into that today, but it is tradition, as always, to kick off the show with a little bit of an icebreaker. And today's the simple one. I asked the question on LinkedIn the other day, are your talent acquisition teams leveraging talent communities right now? And if so, why? And if not, why? So feel free to hop into the comment section and let us know if you are leveraging talent communities, because we all know providing a better talent experience is no longer optional. It is critical to hire, develop, and retain today's workers. And oftentimes, roles may not be evergreen, right? They may open up at the drop of a hat. And that's when you need the candidates the most. So today we'll discuss how talent communities help fill roles with best fit talent and automated processes, that save recruiters time and improve the overall candidate experience. Today, I am joined by two very special guests, Schroeder, who is a recruiting candidate experience manager, and Kristen Davis, who is managing director and HR Central Operations and Technology, and Human Resource Information Systems. So without any further hesitation, let's bring these two on from ChenMed. Hello, how are you both doing today?
Hi, good, thanks.
Yep, doing great. Thanks for having us, Devin.
Awesome. I'm happy to have you here. I promise that there will be no more tongue ties for me for the rest of the program. Excuse me there in the beginning. Before we jump into it, this season that we're doing of Talent Experience Live is all around recruitment marketing, which means a plethora of things for different people. So I'll start with you, Allie. What does recruitment marketing mean to you?
Yeah, so obviously there's a corporate brand that every company represents, and that's what is the purpose of their marketing department. Recruitment marketing is to take that corporate brand, build off it, and better represent the employer brand to attract, develop, and retain talent. So similar function as Phenom's platform and goal here. And you do that through applying an employer brand strategy, in creating engaging content, working with recruiters to understand where their pushes and the roles that they need to fill are, working with culture to represent culture, and then ultimately creating a plan to keep retaining that talent.
Yeah, that's awesome. I always use Apple as an example. It's different to sell iPods and iPhones and iMacs and everything in between than it is to sell your roles, your open positions, right? And that's where that combination of recruitment, marketing, and employer brand really come into play. Kristen, I want to ask you, we talked about ChenMed a little bit at the top, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about what exactly you folks do over there. How are you helping the world?
Yeah, we're definitely in demand and growing quickly. So we're currently in 15 states, and we are value-based healthcare for America's seniors. And so what that means is we're really the challenge to fee-for-service healthcare for America's seniors, and trying to help them live longer, healthier lives. And doing a great job of it. But we're growing fast, and that is what's really created the need for roles like Allie and for us to succeed and double down in areas of recruitment, marketing, having great talent pools, continuing to re-engage talent, because we're in many areas that we haven't been before. And we're not Apple, right? We're ChenMed, and we have a mighty little brand, and we're working hard to get that brand name out there.
No, not many organizations are Apple, but I will tell you this. I got to look at one of your marketing videos that was shared with me, and I have to give it its day in the sun. I have to showcase it on Talent Experience Live on my little show on the internet here. So without any further hesitation, Devin, who is pulling the ones and twos on the background today, pulling the levers. Can we show that quick little video of what ChenMed does?
ChenMed personifies the power of purpose. Everything we do here supports our mission to transform healthcare for the neediest populations.
I'm very passionate about helping others.
The passion is ignited. Then you see that, you feel it.
It's been 10 days since Hurricane. Over $150,000 went out to team members in need. Hundreds of team members here.
We are giving out supplies to the community.
You're making a difference in someone's life. You are not only helping the senior, you are also helping their families.
We're changing lives.
When we all unite with one single focused purpose, we can achieve even the most impossible of dreams.
I love that video. It's very cinematic, right? And I also love the purpose piece. Being from Phenom, me mentioning our purpose at the top of the program, I love that you mentioned that. So I had to show it. But when talking about ChenMed, Kristen, you mentioned you've gone through some tremendous growth. So before we get into how you've grown, I would love to pose the question to the both of you of what were the talent acquisition and recruitment processes when you first joined ChenMed, and maybe how have they changed?
So I was brought in large part to build these, right? And then Allie on the heels of that. So, 2 years ago, we were a company of about 2,000 employees, right? The talent acquisition that you need to maintain a company like that is vastly different from the 10,000 employee company that we're building. So we're currently at almost 6,000 employees and reaching hard for that $10,000 employee mark. And so it's required a lot of processes and a lot of processes that can stand that pressure, right? So that we can really pressure test to continue to grow and continue to bring in the best talent and do that quickly, right? So we also know, just like you said, Phenom's mission resonated with us. ChenMed's mission has absolutely resonated with me, and we work hard to show that because we believe our best candidates do resonate with our mission. So once we've identified somebody, even if we don't have the job for them today, we really need to keep in touch with them because they're going to be a great long-term employee for us if they do understand how we're trying to help America's seniors. Because if you're not into helping seniors, we're probably not a great place for you. But if you are, we're a tremendous place. And so those processes have to be strong.
No, I mean, quick mental math. You said 2,000 when you first joined. Now you're up over around 6,000. That's 4,000 employees in 2 years. So I have to ask you, aside from just sheer metrics and numbers, what's the biggest hiring challenge for you? Is it skill set? Is it the lack of candidates that have plagued organizations all across the country over the past year? Is it location? What was that challenge that you had to identify in order to really ramp up these recruitment processes you talked about?
Gosh, what pops into my mind is honestly turnover. Right? So if we're hiring and we're losing that candidate immediately, we're having to do that same work twice because we're in healthcare. Lots of people are looking to leave healthcare post-pandemic. They don't want to work in the industry. And we're plagued with the same issues that everybody else is. There's more jobs listed than there are people to go to work. So, me and all the listeners, everybody else that I'm usually the one listening to this podcast, these are the things we're plagued with every day. Our opportunity to make the right decision the first time and get the right candidate in is really where we think we can make the biggest difference. And then it's getting into new markets where we don't have brand.
That makes sense. And one thing you mentioned there beforehand was finding the right folks who are interested in working with the senior community. So I want to ask you, as you've gone through this evolution over the past year, how has that changed? How have you been able to find the right candidate and somebody that is a ChenMed employee and what you're looking for long term?
Well, I'm a super fan of Allie, so I'm going to let Allie answer some of this here. Because my answer is I hired Allie. No, but so I want to let her talk about it, because what we've done is some videos, day in the life videos, getting, just like the video you saw, we want people who are like, oh my gosh, I see myself in that environment. And there's just as many other people that we think are going to see it and go, yeah, no, like, I don't want to be outside handing out food in the heat or the cold or the rain or whatever. I don't want to be doing that. And that's great. So Allie's my secret sauce.
Yeah. So some of the things, so as we develop templates and kind of determine like how to get our message across that we're hiring and who we are, again, focusing on chemistry, like Kristen said, and developing pieces where it's our talent brand telling the story about why to join us. So that comes with writing stories for like a careers blog, highlighting the awards that ChenMed employees are winning. It's like, yes, our company wins the award, but really it's the employees sharing their feedback that makes this a great place to work. And then just leading with that employer brand story, and then disclosing the details around the jobs that we're hiring for, and also offering the opportunity to join our talent community and sign up for alerts. Because if someone doesn't see their immediate fit, we're there to stay engaged with them and kind of keep that lead warm and attract that talent, and hopefully find a fit for them in the future.
That was going to be my next question, is what prompted you to take this talent community approach? Was it a situation where you knew you were going to have to hire for a role and it just wasn't open yet, and you didn't want to give candidates a sense of false hope, maybe, where everyone's done that, where they've applied to a job and never heard back, right? Was that the situation? Was we want to collect this information, but we also don't want to leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth by applying for a job? Is that kind of why you landed on a talent community strategy?
The precipice behind mine was, I think as talent acquisition professionals, we're all very mindful of our budgets. We're pretty typically seen as an expense line. And I see in this organization and in others, recruiters will go in and we buy the same candidates over and over again. So for instance, we have centers in New Orleans. If I go out and I'm hiring for, a medical assistant, I'm going to be hiring for that medical assistant today, next year, the year after that. People may not be quite ready. They may be over ready. They may be ready for supervisor. And so really working that idea of being smart and understanding who our talent is and purchasing them once. So it kind of started from a financial, let's be smarter about how we spend our money, where we're spending our money, and quit buying the same candidates over and over again. Also, and I know we're going to talk about personalization, and Allie's done a phenomenal job on personalization. But tracking people year over year and being able to say, you know, Devin, I talked to you, or my peer Matt talked to you 18 months ago about a role, and I know it wasn't a great time for you, but what about now? Those are the personalizations that candidates are looking for today. That's the personalization we offer our patients. And one of the things that we say in our recruiting model is that we offer our candidates the experience we want our patients to have. So it's a VIP patient experience. And so some of those things are the reasons that really prompted us to get into it. And then leveraging the technology and phenom around personalization has helped us do it at scale.
No, that's awesome. I'm currently doing some research for hiring horror stories for the month of October. It's going to be a little campaign we're doing, but oftentimes you hear from candidates who go through a final round of an interview or have just had an initial phone conversation. And to your point, Kristen, it's not for them, right? They don't want to work with the senior community. 18 months later, somebody reaches out again because they're targeting that same audience. And the candidate goes, why? Like, we've already been down this road. This isn't for me. So having that personalization and understanding the path while still reaching a ton of folks has to be powerful. I want to ask you this, Allie. You mentioned a little bit about some of the ways that you are reaching out to your talent community. Can you talk a little bit about how you are opening up a wide net of folks to reach out to? I mean, 2,000 people to hire 4,000 people to hire in 2 years is a lot. You have to cast a very broad net for that. But how are you also personalizing? Is it an approach where you take both prongs, or what does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I think the best way to serve our recruiters and sourcers and enable them to work with this large net as well as new markets, we've created a lot of templates, and those are role specific as well as market specific as well as like company triggers specific. So when we win an award, we have, this template where we can plug it in, change this piece of information, and then it'll appeal to the people in that audience. So developing templates to reach out to them has been very effective, and also encouraging to adopt Phenom as the platform to use for communication. And then obviously working on developing best practices with the recruitment team has been very helpful as well, because that's how you can segment out your audience and personalize it. So encouraging that, where you use a smaller audience of maybe 300 or less versus that big 5,000 send where you're just fishing, for someone to respond. And just showing those numbers and showing that effectiveness, because it doesn't lie. So it's kind of been a teaching process, to get the buy-in of following best practices. So
absolutely. I and one thing that I learned from my background as a recruiter, even if it's templatized, double check. I'll tell a little terrible story on what you're sending, or what I sent out, excuse me. One way, I was recruiting in North Carolina. One way to get no one to apply to your job is to send to Duke candidates, go Tar Heels. That's no one's going to apply there. So that's my own personal nightmare that I had to live. So double check it, even if it is a template. But I also want to ask the question, you mentioned sending out this content. How do you gauge if it's impactful? Is it simply by applications? What does that look like as far as what's working and what's not for you?
Well, and Devin, what you just said about go Tar Heels, that's also one of we work to keep our messages. Allie works to help our recruiters keep our messages short and our target group small, and then repeat, right? Yeah. So if we're going to alienate a group, hopefully we do it in a very small group, and then we learn very quickly. So not the 5,000. We've learned a lot of lessons on that. Okay. And then we don't make decisions without good data. We're constantly looking for data. How can we do it? Allie, what did this look like? What is the data you got out of this campaign? How many people started applications? What was our drop-off rate? How, when did we look at when do they start their applications? Does that change when we send an email? We look at every piece of data, and maybe not every single time, but across time, we're looking at all pieces of the data that we can get back on every campaign to help us understand, what do people in Tampa do versus people in Memphis? How are people reacting in Miami versus people in Dallas, Texas, right? So we're constantly looking at that data. It's very important on how we make our marketing decisions.
Yeah, aim small, miss small, right? When you're looking at that data and you're getting very granular, you can be more targeted with it. Now, we showcased the ChenMed video at the top, all around purpose. I have to ask, are there other video strategies that you're taking? It seems to be taking over LinkedIn. Everyone wants to talk about video. Everyone wants to talk about their TikTok strategy. Are you doing any potentially location-based videos, position-based videos, so that you can get targeted with some of those smaller data sets that you mentioned?
Yeah, so we're creating quite a few internal mobility videos, so around career development, and that's, it's pretty simple. You reach out to employees that have been with our company for 10, 11, 12 years, and they've grown both personally and career-wise with us. And they are more than willing to share their story. And those are the stories that job seekers, want to hear. How can I develop? What are you going to give? And that sounds selfish, but obviously, even as a marketer, when I chose the opportunity to come to ChenMed, that's working for a company in hypergrowth that is entering new markets. What a unique development opportunity. You have to think about yourself as you take that next career step. So developing those videos. And then we also have day in the life videos. Every time we open a center in a new market, we put a live stream of our ribbon cutting. And those videos are very, very, just inspiring to watch, because there's patients in attendance, there's physicians in attendance, leaders. So those are really cool. And then the other videos, a few of our physicians do podcasts and series where they talk about, thought leadership topics. And those really resonate with clinical and physician candidates, because a big part of ChenMed is that when you join as a physician, we offer a physician leadership pathway. So you can further develop your career and become a regional medical leader. So a lot of those stories and capturing those. And then integrating those into our recruitment outreach templates, and just sharing a link with a candidate, just having that kind of like raw information of an employee experience to share.
And I can speak, day in the life videos is something we've been doing for a little over a year in some positions, and almost 2 years in a couple of others, because we aren't a virtual organization. If you're going to come to work for us, your interview might be virtual, your process might be virtual. But we have doctors' offices, right, where we have centers. The day in the life interviews or videos have helped us decrease our interview fall off. That has been a time save and a money save to the organization. So we know that for our top roles, so there were 3 top roles we looked at that are highly repeating, we're higher in every market. And we had early day in the life. So if anybody's thinking, should I do it? What is the save? We were able to take it from 5-to-1 to 3-to-1 from an interview to get a hire, right? So we dropped off 2, and we put people through 3 interviews. And that the interview drop off was happening between the 2nd and the 3rd interview. And that was massive, because we are putting hiring managers, for us, that could be that's a physician or a center leader, right? And we're putting them back in front of the patient. So that was a big win for us, to be able to say we're making a difference. We're getting the right people in front of you faster. So pulling those day in the life videos, using them to market. Yes, Allie uses them everywhere, but we use them. We put those same videos back in front of people time and time again. We really want to make sure that they understand what we look like. And that has helped us get to the right people faster. And that's really, we're talking about talent pools. Yeah, it's great if you got 5,000 people in there, but if 4,500 of them don't want to work for you, it doesn't do us much good, right? Our pools need to be organized. They need to be filled with the right people who who ChenMed appeals to. And so getting these things back in front of those people helps us get the right people to opt in and the right people to opt out.
Mm-hmm.
It's genuine at the end of the day, right? Yeah. Like I had a conversation last week on TXO with Jordan Shelton of Cave, and he said so many organizations, when they come up with employer brand videos and things like that, they want to showcase the fun things in their office, right? The pool table, the ping pong table, the snack wall. What you're talking about is showing locations where somebody can, you're doing a ribbon cutting ceremony and somebody say, oh, I know where that is. I know what my commute would be like. I know what traffic would be like, what roads to potentially avoid, right? That's a lot of information that you're not including in an email campaign. And then also a day in the life, you get to see who they're working with, what people love about their job, right? If those same loves align. You mentioned there are some folks who don't want to work, with the senior community. I think that's okay. I think ChenMed thinks that's okay from what I'm understanding. It just means that role isn't for you, and cutting down that interview process saves everyone time and saves everyone money at the end of the day. So I love that sentiment. I love what you folks are doing. But obviously, when you hire 4,000 people in 2 years, you can't weed them all out through just some videos and things like that. I'm sure that there is some sort of barometer that you have to say, all right, we're going to bring this person in for an interview or not. That's still going to be hundreds of thousands of candidates, right? I imagine, I'm going to go out on a limb here, you don't have someone just shifting through resumes all day saying, all right, I'm going to call this person, I'm going to call this person. There has to be some sort of automation. So what does that look like for ChenMed? How are you weeding down, into the top funnel of candidates that you really want to speak to and want to see if they're going to be the right fit for ChenMed?
Yeah, I wish we had 10 interviews to sift through. We, like many companies, are you kidding me? We're sourcing. We have quite a sizable sourcing team. We are going and getting them. Do we advertise? Do we pick up? Yes. Do we have run Indeed campaigns? Do we do all of the things that everybody's doing? And do we work really hard to drive applicants directly to our career site? We do. And we do get candidates. And we work through those to make those hires. One of the things that we've done is we have our interview process. We've worked on that. Allie has looked at that. How can she take pieces and parts that are out of the interview process and pull it into our advertising? Again, as a way to get the right people in and the wrong people out. But in our phone screens, we're asking, the same questions everybody is. But if somebody says they want to work with children, or they want to work, if it's important to them to work in a really nice office in downtown, we're in senior communities, right? So, so we are doing things, and recruiting still takes a lot of human power, and we believe in the art and the science behind recruiting. And so we have really good recruiters who don't just phone screen. They are part of the interview process. That's something we've changed in the last year. The recruiter actually does a full-blown interview and makes the decision if that person's in or out.
On that note, how much has that helped? Because I know from my experience as a candidate and talking with other folks in the industry, it's always a bit of hold up, what's going on here when you are sourced by someone and then they immediately pass you off to somebody else. Have you seen a positive impact once you've really embedded the recruiter longer into the process during the interview?
Yes, I think so, because so for instance, right, in addition to doing this and running recruiting, I'm a hiring manager, right? I hire people. And so what I can say is by the time I get to a candidate gets to me, they are a full culture fit and they're a full tech fit. So I know that they have all the things. They didn't just go through a 15-minute interview and now I'm going to have to suss that out. So my value, if you think about a hiring manager, what their value is, they have a real job to do that's not just hiring, And we believe recruiters are skilled at hiring. That's why we got into the business of recruiters. Not all hiring managers have that skill to suss out, is somebody a good culture fit? Do they have the character to work for our company? Do they have all of the competencies, right? Do they have what we do believe is that our hiring managers suss out the chemistry. Devin, do you and I work well on a team? Do we interact well? We do trust that, right? And we trust them to interview. We want them to interview, but we know that recruiters are good at this. That's why a lot of us fell backwards or sideways or headways into the profession. It's because we were good with people. We were good at talking to people and understanding what they were after. So I think it's having tremendous effect. As I said earlier, we're a huge data company. So the data is still coming in. We're still working on that. And I think that as we get past the first of the year, we'll have a lot more information on how that has streamlined our process and what that's allowing. But the early feedback is good. And I think the hiring managers like it.
That's awesome. I love that you said, everyone kind of falls sideways or stumbles into being in the recruiting profession. It's so true. I've never met anyone, and my boss is going to give me an earful about this, but that wakes up and wants to go into recruiting, right? It's something that somebody grows towards. You never see a kindergartner on the first day of kindergarten holding up, when I grow up, I want to be a recruiter. But people are very good at it. And I think it happens, right? You mentioned people, persons, they have a good gauge of character. They can have conversations with anyone. That is a skill within itself. So I have a daughter. I hope she grows up and wants to be in talent acquisition and recruiting. That's, even if she doesn't, I'm going to make that sign on her first day of kindergarten so that I can say somebody does. So I know you have a long road ahead of you, right? You mentioned you have the 4,000 hires over the past 2 years, but there's a goal of 4,000 more. And I imagine you want to do it in 2 years or sooner. So I'll ask you both, what excites you most about ChenMed and the future of recruiting and what direction you're headed?
Yeah. So one thing I think I failed to mention or failed to talk about it, and it does point to our future, because it's 4,000 that we need to grow by, and there are, there's also turnover and whatnot. So it ends up being a much larger number to hire. But we are doing some things around automation, primarily with chatbot, texting, leveraging texting through Phenom and our chatbot. Our chatbot's a good 1.0. We're really, as we work through into 2023, Allie and I have a project to really ramp that up. But the more that we can have our candidates have a personal experience, and we do. I think, Allie, what is it? Is it almost a quarter of our applicants come to us if they land on the career site through the chatbot?
Yep. Maybe just over, actually. So.
Yeah, so we're doing some great things there, and that's an expanding area for us. Again, we're leveraging it. It's one of those things. My leader 2 years ago said, "Kristen, just turn it on," and we did. And we kind of got lucky, and we really need to invest in it and get the right things around it too. But getting a quarter of your traffic to complete an application through a chatbot that you just turned on, y'all, we don't get lucky often in recruiting, and that was pretty lucky. And I tell my boss, right, we got lucky there, and it was a lucky break. So, but we do know it works, right, and we will be doubling down and investing in that space.
No, that's awesome. A quarter of your applicants, for something that, obviously costs money. The platform costs money, but just to turn on and have that go through, and you're talking about really perfecting it over the next few years, or in 2023, excuse me, where you can showcase some of the ChenMed's personality that you talked about, right? I'm sure you can feed some folks some of the day in the life videos if they've expressed interest, and save even more time down the line. So that's awesome to hear. I love hearing good chatbot stories. Now, before we wrap up, Maggie chimes in. You can read more about building a great candidate experience database here. We just launched the ChenMed case study, which is live now. We're going to put it in the blog recap and everything like that for anyone who may be tuning in afterwards and missed the particular link. But also, I promise that it'll be all over social media as well. I want to ask you, if someone is perhaps just tuning in right now, what would you say, each of you, is your one recruitment marketing hack that you would want them to take away with that has made your life easier and hopefully we'll make another person in talent acquisition's life easier.
Do you want to start, Kristen, or do you want me to go?
You know them. I said earlier, my hack was hiring Allie.
I think my biggest hack has been focusing on building relationships with people managers and other COEs within our business, because that's how you're going to get information on the content and stories about employers and their experience with our talent brand to ultimately create the content that candidates and job seekers want today. And then don't be afraid to go and make it and put it out there, and write the story about how, ChenMed leads with love, or, share the video that maybe isn't edited perfectly about an MGC or a salesperson with our company that was able to switch and go work for a different location because her family moved. So, just don't be afraid to take a stab at it, because it's going to resonate with someone. So.
And I will give one real hack, because you none of you may have Allie. But what I would say is don't over control this. Don't over centralize it. Allie's templates and allowing our recruiters to get out there and run these small campaigns and play with it and get things out there has been a little bit of the secret sauce and a secret to the success, I believe, because they're able to get things out there faster and just in time. And recruiting today is moving. I mean, I know for us, yes, we have some roles that are high repeats. We have a lot of roles that are very individualized to locations, and putting things in the recruiter's hand that they can customize and get out very quickly. It has been, I would call it one of our hacks, because it gets us to market super quick. And you can lose time, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, I wish we'd done some marketing stuff, but we don't have time for that. We've been, we need the person to start 2 weeks ago. So that would be my other kind. It's not a huge hack, but I think that's a bit of our secret sauce to success, and really spun by how we've set this up. So think about how you're setting up your pools, and don't over centralize it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad that you offered another hack, because I was worried Allie's LinkedIn inbox was going to be filled with recruiters as the hack for ChenMed's success over the past 2 years. This has been awesome. I greatly appreciate both of you hopping on, sharing the overall story of ChenMed, the growth that you have had, how you've done it with automation and talent communities. Allie, I loved saying, don't be afraid to make some mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, as I alluded to with my email to Duke alumni. Don't make that mistake. But certainly, I think taking some chances with video that may not be perfect, with somebody who may have moved to a different location, having that opportunity to see if something is successful really goes a long way, especially when everyone's minds are so sidetracked, right? If you do make a mistake, it's only a couple hours till somebody forgets and moves on and surfaces back. So thank you both. I hope you both have a wonderful weekend. Please stay safe. I know you're both in Florida as well. I hope everyone's family members and loved ones are all safe and well as well. If anyone has any further questions around this, we're going to do a blog recap following this episode, so you can always check it out there. And for those tuning in, download the case study. Check out what some of the numbers say around talent communities and everything like that. But thank you both so much. I appreciate it, and I wish you well on the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Devin.
Of course. There you have it. That was Allie and Kristen talking all around recruitment marketing, campaigns, talent communities, chatbot, everything in between. If you missed any of it, like I mentioned, the blog is available. Also, on that said blog, there are a couple of our previous recruitment marketing episodes. We had Amit Parmar of Clickify talking about the power of social media and how you have to be on there in order to recruitment market. We had last week Jordan Shelton chat a little bit about how to be genuine with your employer brand during some of those campaigns and even posting out on social in order to save time. And of course, we just talked with ChenMed about how to really rapidly grow and hyper growth towards the future with talent communities and some recruitment marketing strategies. Next week, we are continuing the theme of recruitment marketing. I'm going to be joined by a product marketing manager here at Phenom, as well as a product manager, to show you what all this looks like, to show you how it works, to show you what you can get out of your CRM. I promise that it will be agnostic. So even if you don't have Phenom, feel free to tune in. You might learn a trick or two about some campaigns, some talent pools, and everything in between. But in the meantime, I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next Thursday, noon Eastern time on Talent Experience Live. Thanks so much.